Alright, welcome back again. Now let's start our new project. So go to File, and apparently again it's actually out of my recording area, but it's okay. If you go to File and you can go to New Project, and when you start creating a new project you get this little window. Now here you can start choosing the packages, the Unity packages which you would like to import along with your project. Now please do not check everything, because these Unity packages they contain your assets, your whatever scripts and assets you actually need in order for you to run your game. If you include all of them, it will take a really long time to start and long time to load later, and it could probably overload your project with a lot of unnecessary stuff which you're probably not using. So for the beginning, you can actually load the ones which which you actually are for 100% sure that you're gonna use, and later on, if we needed something, we can load it on need basis. So if you need them, you just simply load them. All right. So the first Unity project I'm just gonna create, I'm gonna call this Unity Intro, and as you can see here, it's saved on my C users Mohammed / documents. So it's gonna be in your documents folder. You of course can change it to wherever you want. And I'm gonna check character controller, because we're gonna need that, because I'm gonna actually place we're gonna be walking around a terrain with rain and with water and with trees and houses and everything. So we're gonna walk around a terrain in an FPS kind or an FPS style. So we're gonna need a character right there. We're gonna need particles. I would love to have that because of the rain and everything. I'm gonna need the standard assets. I'm gonna need the terrain assets, okay, because I need the I'm gonna probably because I'm gonna need to put trees and all these stuff, and I need as well. Yeah, I believe the terrain assets is fine, and probably and the water, which up to you. The difference between basic and pro is just the look of the water. Okay, I'm gonna actually choose pro, but if you have only basic, it's fine. You can choose basic. It's not gonna look as spectacular and awesome as the basic. I mean, excuse me, as the pro one. Okay. The tree creator, you can include it if you would like to create your own trees, but we are not gonna do that. We're really gonna need it. Need to keep it very simple. Skyboxes is very important. We need that, and I believe we are good to go. So once you choose the once you choose the the packages, the Unity packages that you need, you just simply hit create. And no, I will not save that. And immediately you're gonna see right now Unity will close probably. As you can see here, it closed, and it's actually being reloaded again because it restarts and generates a whole new database, and for your metadata and for your assets and everything, and transfers itself there and starts from there. So give it a second. It's actually uncompressing everything. Now, of course, if you are having a lot of packages imported, probably you're gonna run into the trouble of waiting for really long times until it all these assets and everything gets imported and so on. So let me pause the video until it actually finishes importing all the necessary assets. Alrighty, so it actually Unity loaded, and for some certain reason, I don't know, in my version probably you will not have the same problem, but if I go over here my character controller, if I click on here the warning, I get a warning in my script. Somehow there's a typo. It has the it forgot the it somehow placed the bitwise OR instead of the logical or Boolean OR. So I'm actually loading right now the Visual Studio solution, and here it is. And actually on this line of code I get this bitwise OR, so I'm just gonna simply add it. and I'm gonna save that. And the coolest thing about it, once I go back to Unity, it immediately compiles your script. And immediately if you get an error, it will just show it to you. Right now we don't have any errors, so this warning, and even this warning, just gone. Okay, so let me go over here and minimize this, and let me close the console window because we don't need it anymore. And there you go. This what we are greeted with. A very simple, as you can see here, very simple blank slate project. And right now, and you have only a camera in there, so I actually just simply double clicked on the camera, main camera, and I get this main camera. And of course you can rotate and tumble around your scene. Now, in order to create a new scene, you need actually to create a level and save this somewhere, right? So I'm gonna just simply collapse all this, and it is really very good thing to be an OCD guy or girl or whatever. So OCD person, it's very important here to be that person, because you have to be really hyperly organized. So I just went to the let me delete that and show it to you again. So if I go to create, I choose new folder, and you really need to create and organize your folders and all your assets, all your terrains, all your scripts. Organize them in folders and everything, so it's going to be easier for you to find, because once your project explodes big, you can actually start you can easily find your stuff. So here I'm gonna call this my levels or scenes, let's say. So scenes, and Unity, they call it scenes, not a level, because one scene could be your splash screen, another scene could be your options screen, and one scene could be your level. So that's why they didn't call it a level, they just simply generically called it a scene. Now, while my scene folder is selected, I will hit just the Control S, and immediately I will get the window for saving my scene. Now, if I go inside my scenes folder, I'll come over here and I will save this to well, level. It's gonna be like it's actually gonna be more like a tropical level, so tropical level level underscore tropical. By the way, come up with whatever naming convention you like, but keep it consistent. So if you say, for example, if I'm naming all my levels like level tropical, if I have a level Sahara or desert, I'm gonna have a level desert. If I have a level jungle, then I'll have a level jungle, level underscore jungle, and so on and so forth. Keep your name consistent. That's amazing. That's the main important thing. So I'm gonna hit the save button, and if you look here under the scenes, I get my level underscore tropical. And by the way, let me go into my documents over here. Let me just I'm just navigating off the screen right now. Hang on a sec. Let me see, where's my project. So it was in documents, Unity, I believe, Unity intro, and there you go. Now let me just like collapse this a little bit and find this like that. And can you please pay close attention to this one? Now if I go to the assets folder, you will see that I don't know even why I imported the mobile assets, but yeah, okay, probably I imported my mistake, but hey, this folder structure is identical to this folder structure. So this is the level tropical Unity, it is there. Okay, now if you delete anything from your hard drive or you create anything, for example, if I go to the assets folder, I create here, for example, scripts. If I just jump back to Unity, immediately it gets the scripts folder. If I delete it from here, it's also get deleted from my file system. Now it is very important to understand this relationship, and you have to be really careful what you are doing, because if you in both directions, the update is happening bidirectionally. So if you delete something from here, it reflects from there, it reflects here. If you delete something from here, it reflects there. So please, I believe it will be the nice idea, and I recommend that you, whenever you would like to delete something, please delete it from your Unity project because Unity keeps track of your um, projects right here. So it keeps the metadata and database. There you go. Here's your database, which keeps all the folder structure, all the important data about how and what is inside your project and how it's being constructed and everything. So in order not to confuse Unity or anything, or for example, you delete something from the hard drive while Unity was not working, you will end up probably with some troubles. So please delete whatever you actually modify a project. Try to modify it from the project window. Okay. So let me get this away and put it to its regular size and close. Now, if I go into terrain, now first of all, I said already we're gonna actually create a terrain when we're gonna walk on that terrain. Now, it is highly important that you actually draw your to map out on using a pen and a paper or pencil and paper, whatever suits you. Please make sure that you plan it first, because seeing what you're gonna do is gonna actually slash the time you spend on creating your level by half, if not by quarter, like if not by 3/4. So it's really gonna like save you a huge amount of time. So let me go to terrain. I've actually drawn it on a paper. I have already a drawing for what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna actually have I'm gonna create a terrain over here. And once I create terrain, as you can see, I have a huge rectangle over here. Probably you see it's kind of small, but it's really huge. If I go to terrain and I say set resolution, this terrain is these numbers are, by the way, in meters. So the terrain width is 2,000 meters by length is 2,000 meters. So we're talking about 4 kilometers square a terrain. It's really huge. And if you want to, let me see if I can create another, and I will just create a sphere. And this is your sphere. Now let me go away. This actually your sphere in relation to your terrain, and it's actually not visible. When you look at it, it's really tiny compared to your so I have to select it here, compared to your terrain. So this is how large your terrain is. So let me zoom back or dolly back, and I will go to terrain, set resolution, and for this recording, in order to keep it as simple as possible, I will actually slash this terrain by at least quarter. So I'm gonna have 512 meters by 512 meters, and the height in meters, so the maximum height that any mountain can get to is gonna be, let's say, not 1 meter, but let's say we're gonna have like 200 meters. Okay. The height map resolution is 513. I would go for, well, actually, yeah, I would leave it, but hey, I mean, I could like go for 256. And as you can see here, it always gets the 1 added, and this is because if you are drawing a grid, let's say if you draw a grid and then I ask you to count the lines or count the dots for example, on the horizontal, let's say on the horizontal edge of a terrain, let's say on this horizontal edge, if I have a grid running out on this grid horizontally, let's say, you're gonna, if you start counting the dots, you will have always that additional dot at the end. That's why the 1 is being added. Detail resolution is 1024. I'm gonna decrease it to 512. And this is how much detail you can add to your terrain, how much jaggedness it will be when it comes to round edges and so on. Patch per resolution per patch. It's very important if you would like to set data about, for example, if you are putting trees and rocks and everything. This is how many trees and rocks gonna fit per patch. Central texture and base texture resolution, we're going to look at that when we get into the texturing of the terrain, but for the time being I'm going to leave it like 256 times 512. 500 to 500, 256 times 256, of course, for the control texture, and 512 for the base texture resolution. And I will set resolution. And as you can see here, I got a very, very smaller terrain right now, which is quite manageable and is going to be much, much more responsive. And if I select my camera, and as you can see here, I have the habit of selecting my game objects from my hierarchy menu, because this is the only, or this is the fastest way to access my game objects. And I'm gonna just simply move my camera right there. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna just simply grab this camera, main camera, and I just simply delete it. And you have to have at least one camera in your scene. So if I go to the standard assets, character controllers, I can grab the first person controller and I'll just simply drag it over here. And I'll hit the F key to focus on the guy. And because we have collisions, I mean, as you can see here, I get the capsule. I'll just simply pull it up like so and just position him so, or it, if you will. So as you can see here, I get a capsule and I get this green kind of outline shape or wireframe. This is actually my collider, so it makes sure that I will not pass through the terrain when I walk on it. And the camera is up top, that capsule thing, so it will simulate like kind of eye level of the character. And of course I can scale this up if I want to make the character a little bit taller, let's say, like so. Now if I hit the play button, I can actually look around with my mouse. As you can see here, I'm moving my mouse, I'm looking around. If I hit the W key, I will move, but of course it's kind of not visible. You can see, if you look over here, where I'm pointing with my mouse in the transform, you see I'm moving already towards probably the Z-axis more. And as you can see here, I'm approaching probably the edge of my terrain, and right now I'm completely at the edge. WASD, by the way, is the control, so W is forward, A is banking left, D is banking right, and S is back. And if I just drop myself, right now I'm dropping, falling off the edge. Now, you shouldn't allow your player to have that problem. It cannot happen that your player fall out of your level, so you're gonna have to make sure that your player stays in the level. Alright, so let me pull this little guy over there, and let me select my terrain, and we will forget about this guy for now. Now if I look at my terrain, it's completely very not interesting at all, because it's completely flat. There are no features, no mountains, nothing whatsoever. So in order to fix this problem, or start having fun if you will, I will actually select, while selecting my terrain, you have several tools over here. If you have this is collapsed like so, please expand them. So expand only the terrain script over there. And you can see here I've got several controls. Alright. Now the first one is raise and lower your terrain height. So if I select it, and it says like this, raise, lower terrain. Click to raise, hold down shift to lower. And everything is just completely descriptive there. And you have several brushes, so I have a brush over here, which is selected by default. So if I click and drag, I can actually draw terrain in real time, which is kind of cool. If you had this 4 km square terrain, you could have a little bit less response time, which again, it depends on how large your terrain you would like to have. And as you can see here, here is my terrain, very basic one. I just sculpted right off the bat like that. And if I hit the play button, here you go, here's my terrain. And of course, as nothing is visible, it's kind of scary, how can I say, a silhouette, if you will, and it's nothing visible. So we need actually to add some light, we need to add some skyboxes, but we're gonna do that quite shortly after we finish just basic stuff about the terrain here. So in order to take out of the terrain, as it said already, hold down shift to lower. So I hold down the shift, and I start taking back what I have done. Alright, so holding down the shift key, and I'm getting back everything. Alright, now, okay. No spots missing. Okay, we're good. So there's also flattening the terrain, which is let me just raise up a couple ones over here, like so. And here, if you would like, for example, to make some sort of a plateau, like this, you see? Right now we are flattening the terrain to a certain height. If I hold down the shift key, I can actually like disconnect it, so I can actually like flatten it on a different height if I want to. But there you go. This is how to flatten a terrain. And let me take out all this by holding the shift key. In fact, I can actually increase my brush size over here. You see in the brush size settings, like make it a little bit humongous and try to, and put the opacity to complete 100%. So it's going to be effective very much right away. And in order to see this, if I click and drag, it's very, very effective right now. Because I put the brush size on the highest, well, I can even put it on the lowest, and you're going to get the same effect. But when I put the opacity down, watch what's going to happen. Or let me do it like from the same zoom. You see? You're going to have actually to draw several times. So here you go. This is with opacity low. This with opacity high. And of course you can see the difference here. Now it is up to you as an artist or as a designer of the level. You can actually make it either lower or higher. It's up to you. Or how much opacity. I usually prefer like to give it somewhere halfway down, so I can like stack the opacity above each other, stack the brushes above each other, just until I get the height which I really like. Okay. Now because I pretty much destroyed this terrain, I will show you other stuff, and then we can go further and show you what we're gonna do next. But just let me try to show you as well the smoothing part. This is where you can, if you have some sort of like you know, jagged edges, as you can see here, here you go, I'm actually smoothing this part of the terrain as much as I can. So if you see here, it looks interesting right now. It's quite smooth, not harsh as the other end. So you see, this is the harsher part, this is the smoother part. With a brush here, I could actually start painting texture on it, but before I get to that point, let me show you. Let us first create our terrain that we're gonna actually use. So we're gonna show you. I'm gonna show you how to use the texture. So since I beat that guy to death, I will just simply hit the delete key and our button, and I will just go to terrain, create a terrain, and I'm gonna again play with the resolution. So if I go to the set resolution, I'm gonna set it back again to the small numbers. So I set it to 152 height map. I believe 256. I've set it that way. Detail resolution 512 per patch, 256 and 512. I just simply slashed everything by quarter or half. Yeah. All right. Now, let me hit the W key. Where's my first person character control? It's on the same place as it is. Now I like to rename my terrain. Now this, I got two terrains in my scene over project over here, which is really bad. Now gonna have to delete one. Yes, sir. And this one I'm gonna have to rename. So I'm gonna call this tropical terrain. And I'm gonna actually create a new folder, and I'm gonna call this terrains, and I'm gonna move my tropical terrain inside like so. So always be organized. And here in my game object, I will call this as well tropical terrain. Okay. By the way, the name of your file is different from the name of your game object inside your game. So keep that in mind. All right. So yeah. Now, first of all, if you have such a big terrain, it's really gonna be painful to you know, like to actually sculpt the terrain completely from scratch, especially if you are, for example, dealing with like 4x4, actually 2x2 kilometers square, or yeah, 4 kilometers square kind of a terrain, where you're gonna have actually to like, you know, sculpt this whole area. So it's the easiest thing is like to get something done already for you, and then you can just simply start adding on the details from there. So how are we going to actually do that? If you go to the Unity website in the not the terrain assets, but the Unity extension. So Unity 3D support resources / extension. You have the terrain toolkit. It's a 1.4 meg download, really quick download. Just get it from the internet. And what it does actually, it is really it generates. It's actually a procedural way of generating it. It's procedural terrain package where you can actually procedurally generate terrains and procedurally texture them as well. And automatically you can get actually what you see right now here. So this is basically automatically generated. So if I go, I have actually downloaded it. So if I go to Unity over here and I go to import package, custom package, okay, and I'm gonna actually I have already in my clipboard the folder, so I'm just gonna simply hit enter. I just simply save it to my clipboard, so I paste it in there. So I actually saved my terrain toolkit right here, right? Terrain toolkit 1.0.2. So I'm gonna hit open, and it will immediately greet me with a huge window asking me whether I would like to import all the stuff. Now, of course, if you are, of course, it's up to you. You can actually check and uncheck whatever you don't like or like. But in my case, I would like to import everything, so I don't need to care, you know, like to care even about which ones I'm going to import and which I'm not. And once it's actually done, well, it gives, well, actually, this is from the script, but it's a small warning. You don't need to worry about that. Now, I would like to keep the terrain toolkit separate. I will not put it under my terrain toolkit or terrain assets over here. I'll just simply keep it away, just for organization purposes. Now, if I expand this, you have, of course, the documentation, which is on the internet as well, and it's here as a zip file or a RAR file, and you can actually read it from there. What I actually need is select the terrain, and if you look carefully, this is the terrain toolkit. This is the script which I need, which has a C# on it, C# icons on it, over it there. And actually, when you select it, when you just click on it, without opening it, without double clicking it, this is the whole script, which, well, actually part of it, if you will, that makes up, well, actually, yeah, it's actually the whole script that makes up your, that terrain toolkit. So I'm going to select the terrain. I'm gonna grab this guy, just hold down the left mouse button and drag it over here while the terrain is selected. You can actually drag that terrain toolkit right away over here, that script over the terrain or over the game object over here. It's up to you. I just simply selected the terrain and I just simply appears here on my script and on my inspector, as you can see here, tropical terrain, and I'll just simply leave it right there. And once I leave it, I get this small new UI window beside the terrain toolkit script over here. So if I go, for example, to something like, for example, yeah, Perlin noise or fractals, let's say, and let me show you what I'm talking about over here. And once you adjust the values which you would like, for example, the delta and blend and so on and so forth, there's a huge button called Generate Fractal Terrain, so I'm just gonna click it. And as you can see here, I get this terrain. Now it is really, really very harsh and unwalkable terrain, completely useless. So I'm gonna just simply undo that. And probably I'm gonna decrease the delta a little bit down. And now I get a little bit better, you know, terrain and everything. So right now it's up to you how you would like to see your terrain or how you would like to visualize it. Okay, so for me this one doesn't work. You can of course choose one of the presets over here, so rolling planes, and see how it will look like, and so on and so forth. Alright, you can go to Voronoi algorithm, for example, pick up, for example, scattered peaks and generate one, and then you can get, as you can see here, scattered peaks. You can actually play with this all the day long. I mean, it's um, rolling hills, and as you can see here, I get part of the terrain is empty, and you get some hills on the or mountains on the other side, and so on. Jagged mountains or whatever. So it's up to you actually which one to use. Right now I'm gonna go here on the Perlin noise, and I'm gonna choose, for example, rolling hills, and let me hit generate and see what's gonna happen. And I get this kind of noise. I will actually try to reduce a little bit the frequency, the amplitude, a little bit, the octaves, and let me hit generate. And I get a little bit softer kind of effect because I decrease the frequency and the amplitude. So let me decrease the amplitude a little bit, increase the frequency, and I get a little bit more natural, like kind of terrain where you can get, you know, something out of it. Alright, so I'm gonna actually, like, I like this, so I'm gonna leave it here. And the coolest thing about this terrain toolkit is that you can still add to it. So if I go over here in my terrain script and select, just, try to erode or raise the terrain, I can start actually, like adding on. And since I have my opacities down, let me show you a little bit dramatic experience. So there you go. So as you can see here, I raised a little bit more of the mountain there. Now, first of all, I would like to, I would like actually to like raise a little bit, my terrain, so my player will not fall from the sides. Now, of course, we can talk about all the day about the appropriate level design and everything, which actually completely outside the scope of this tutorial. So I'm gonna actually just like try to sculpt as much as possible height just to forbid the player, from falling. Of course, you can put colliders at the end and do not let the player just pass through a certain area. Yeah, it's up to you again. So I'm just gonna keep it that simple. And we just try to raise the terrain as well here, so no one can actually pass through these areas. Okay, now I'm gonna just like raise it a little bit right there. Now I can actually like give some sort of a mountain kind of an area as well, Actually, according to my drawings, this one's gonna be like so. And as you can see here, I reached the height of my terrain. I cannot reach higher than 200 meters right now. Which, because of that, I'm gonna just try to, I'm gonna try to lower my opacity a little bit and try to stack it up a little bit, like so. I'm gonna leave it like so. Alright. Now I'm gonna actually start having a pool over here. So I'm making an area for it, like kind of a lake, if you will, so we can have a little bit of water, And because there's gonna be a house I already prepared for you, I'm gonna actually like flatten the terrain a little bit on this part. Let's say like so, for example. And because it's quite harsh on the edges, I'm gonna just simply smooth it out. I'll try to smooth it right here, like so, as much as I can. I could even lower it if I want to, but I could actually flatten it as well until the end, like so. So some sort of a plateau, if you will, a terrain feature. I know it's not that very natural level kind of game, but I'm just simply like I'm trying to demonstrate here how to use certain features rather than having quite well-designed world, if you will. So let me like try to raise this part a little bit, to have it a little bit like not that very, very flat. So it's just a little bit variation to it. And make this like a little bit like so. Yeah. All right. So basically, I'm quite happy. Well, I'm not very happy about it, but I mean, I would call this acceptable for now for the purposes of this demo. So I'm gonna leave it like so. I would like to have actually a little bit of mount, like probably I need a little bit of space. So I'm gonna probably erase this a little bit so I can have a little bit more like more of trees and mountains and all these stuff. Actually, trees rather. So I'm just gonna smooth this out more. So actually, it could take hours and hours of tweaking and like getting this done in the nicest way possible. So I would actually leave this to you, up to you. You can modify whatever you want. You know, try to, for example, um, get this as much as you like. So I'm gonna even lower this a little bit down, this area, a little bit down, and try to flatten as well, and then lower it down. Okay. Now, of course, you have several brushes that you could use, like this, if you want to. But right now it's up to you how you would like to have them. So you could have something like this. So you have a harsher kind of a mountain coming up. You know. So it's right now up to you, like how you would like to have your mountains look like. So I'm giving it a little bit of variations over here, a little bit, you know, brushing it up, trying to make it a little bit harsher. So just not to make it that very much smooth. So add a little bit of variation into it, like so. I could even add it to the ground as well, but I would smooth it more with that brush. So as you can see here, I just started with a very simple flat terrain. With a single click, I just simply generated another terrain, and yeah, there you go. And with a simple click, I just simply generated, something to start with. And from there, I just immediately started to erode parts of the terrain, add more details, carve in more details, and so on and so forth. Now, this video is like, right now is almost 40 minutes, so I will actually stop right there. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to right now texture this terrain and add trees and rocks to it, and water, and so on and so forth. And we're gonna see that all in the next lesson. So see you in the next lesson.